Welcome to Skyhaven Equestrian Center's Rider Yoga. This flow was designed to increase the rider's balance, awareness, and sensation. Specifically, we're going to be opening the hips, opening the heart, and lengthening our spine. This is to help us to understand where our physical body is in space, so as to alleviate and clarify your position in relation to your horse. I designed this flow for the sensitive rider, the compassionate rider, and the rider that is dedicated to inward focus, self-improvement, and truly learning. Disclaimer: the intention behind this video is to heal, not harm. Please, if you find any of these positions difficult, find a way to accommodate and augment them to incorporate your body's current standpoint and any limitations that might include. If you become emotional or feel frustrated, pause the video, move into that emotion, get curious about it, and use that for your expansion. Please do not allow this video to increase separation and pain within your mind, heart, body, or soul. Let it be a tool of healing. Thank you. Let's begin with our rider position. Standing up, lining up the outer edges of our feet with the mat. Bend the knees over top of the toes, even going past the toes if the knees allow. Next, anterior and posterior pelvic tilting. Find your limits so as to find neutral. When pushing the sit bones back, squeeze the shoulder blades. When tucking the sit bones under, tuck the chin round the spine. Next, we're shifting from right to left, exploring which foot you carry more of your weight on naturally. For most right-handed people, I find the right leg takes the brunt of it. Next, we're finding balance in the hips by lifting right hip up to right shoulder and left hip up to left shoulder. Then experimenting with twisting, opening to the left, opening to the right, exploring. You'll soon find one direction is easier and one not so much. Standing up, taking a breath, reaching the arms up overhead, getting length through the spine, and then coming back down into our rider position, now carrying our reins. Next, we're going to be doing our sitting trot, so gently bouncing, simulating the trot, and we're going to be bending to the left and bending to the right, bending our imaginary horse, that is. Seeing which direction feels more comfortable and natural in our body, and just noticing our own patterns. Next, we're going to be doing our posting trot, warming the thighs, getting the knees ready, using the glutes to sit down and back and up and forward, keeping the hands as still as possible. Try pressing with just the left hip and just the right, adding a little twist to your post and seeing what feels more natural. Standing up again and resetting for our next posture, which is goddess pose. So we're turning to the long edge of our mat, bending down, keeping our spine perpendicular to the ground so that our tailbone is reaching down. Taking our time getting into goddess pose, really opening the hips and using your muscles to get here, not just pressing your skeleton into submission. I'm standing up and then going back down into it because I was cramping getting into this posture. So maybe your hips might object to this as well. Move lovingly into the position and only go as deep into it as is supportive and healing for your body. You can make this as difficult or as easy as possible, but to keep it as safe as possible, keep your abdominals engaged. Stand up whenever it's too much pressure. And keep your eyes forward and keep your knees open, pressing towards the back wall so that your knees are not more narrow than your feet. Press the knees back. Really squeeze the glutes. And take your time with this posture until you can find balance in the hips, balance in the shoulders, and ease in the mind. Finally coming to the full expression of goddess pose with, I forget what that hand mudra is called actually. I'll have to go study that. Then spinning your toes forward, we're coming into our wide-legged forward fold. You can have your hands on your shins or the mat or your feet, and then we're just rocking left and right. Again, we're continually exploring, are my hips balanced? Which way is easier for me to stretch? Is my left inner thigh tighter or my right inner thigh tighter? And then we're going to place our hands on our shins, and using the strength of our glutes and back body, we're going to come up into our half lift, squeezing the glutes, keeping the abdominals in and up, back of the neck long, and then releasing back to your forward fold. Repeat slowly and multiple times following your breath, the inhale bringing you up to the half lift and the exhale to the forward fold. Standing up again and resetting for our next position. Continuing with the theme of opening the hips, we're going to come into butterfly pose. You can do this seated or reclined depending on which is more comfortable and accessible to your hips today. We are going to add pulses so as to distract from the discomfort. This pose is excellent for opening the hips, especially when you make it active, meaning use your outer hip and glute to pull your knees down to the ground. If you're doing this seated, reach up through the crown of your head, pull the abdominals in and up, engage the pelvic floor, press the heart forward, squeeze shoulder blades together. If it's more comfortable lying down or you want to experience both as I'm demonstrating, please do so. But again, focusing on balance and symmetry. Does the right knee want to drop more than the left or vice versa? Feel into it, and most importantly, breathe into the hips. This posture can be triggering emotionally, as we carry a lot of emotions in our hips. Next, we're going to bring the knees together, coming up into bridge pose. And press up with the strength of your glutes into bridge pose. Then drop right hip, drop left hip, alternating, finding balance again. Lifting right hip towards right shoulder, lifting left hip towards left shoulder. I'm demonstrating more advanced options here. If it feels good to your body, you can come into a shoulder stretch, interlacing the fingers and bringing the shoulders closer together. Also an option to extend one leg up towards the ceiling, really challenging the glutes to hold you up there. Incrementally, gradually pressing up higher into a more extended bridge position before exhaling and softening back to the ground, releasing the shoulder stand. Other options to explore is the spinal wave, tucking the pelvis as you press up into the bridge pose and then lying back down vertebrae by vertebrae, letting your tail be the last to touch the ground. Repeat following your breath. Inhale, press up. Exhale, release down. Then coming up to our hands and knees and moving into our cat-cows. Opening the spine, feeling into the body. Our cat is the exhale, rounding the spine, tucking the pelvis, tucking the chin. Our cow is dropping the belly down, lifting the sit bones up, looking forward. Moving back and forth between cat and cow, following your breath. Exploring in this position as well, is my left hip closer to my left shoulder? My right hip closer to my right shoulder? Feel from the inside out. Try to find where your body is in space. As well, use this as a moment to extend compassion to your horse and understanding by feeling what it is to be a horse, to be on four legs and to be asked to bend to the left and bend to the right. Explore and find your own limitations and imagine what it would be like to be asked to lift your back and engage and find the contact and then move forward. Rocking forward and back, exploring carrying weight on the hind end versus the front end. Curling the toes under and coming into our yogi toe stretch. This can be intense. Only apply as much pressure as your feet allow. And if possible, if you can bring your hands off the ground, you can do a wrist rotation. If it's too much to do them at the same time, do them separately. This is me just being efficient. And it's also a great way to distract from the discomfort in the feet. Next, coming up into our hummingbirds with the arms. So arms out to a goalie post position and then doing circles. Really warming up the shoulders and engaging the upper back, making sure as well here, does my right shoulder feel easier to connect to? Does my left shoulder feel more restricted or more open? Being curious. Releasing, and we're going to be moving into hero pose now. This is another potentially intense one if you have tight or damaged knees, so only going as deep as feels good to you, but knees are together, feet are apart here. Welcome to sit on a pillow while you do this, or skip this one entirely if the knees are damaged. We're also adding in a neck stretch, bringing left ear towards left shoulder, and the option to make it more intense by interlacing the fingers and behind the back, bringing the hands to the left hip. So effectively the right shoulder is, and trapezius is getting a deep stretch, and then switching to the other side where right ear comes to right shoulder and hands towards the right hip interlaced behind you. So we're just pulling down that left shoulder as we bring the ear, right ear to right shoulder. This is all while staying in the hero's pose or cross-legged, sitting however is most beneficial to your body today. Moving to your hands and knees, we're now going to be doing our spinal balance. extend your left leg out, flexing the foot, and reach right arm forward, creating length. Exhale, crunch, and bring elbow to knee. Inhale, extend. Exhale, touch. Use your muscles. Engage the abdominals. Lift the belly and back up to create space for knee and elbow to touch. Switching, finding neutral, engaging the pelvic floor and the abdominals. Extend right leg and left arm. Inhale, reach. Exhale, crunch. Try to create as much space from fingertips to toes as possible. Move slowly, challenge your balance, and repeat as many times as feels good to you. Returning to tabletop, we're now going to begin with a spinal twist. So let's reach right arm up to the ceiling, inhaling and exhale as you thread the needle, dropping right shoulder to the ground and right ear to the ground, making sure to keep the neck long and the lower abdominals engaged. Hold this stretch as you breathe into behind your right shoulder blade. If you want more sensation, push the back of your right hand into the ground as well as the left hand into the ground, deepening into the rotation. Eyes can be closed here. Switching sides gently, returning to neutral before inhaling, reaching left arm up, exhaling, thread the needle, dropping left shoulder and ear to the ground. Neck stays long, lower abdominals engaged, finding stillness. Breathing into the left shoulder blade and noticing which way is easier for you to twist. Which way do you naturally connect to and feel more sensation, and which side feels a little more numb? On your inhale, coming back up to tabletop, and on your exhale, pressing back to your child's pose. Knees can be together or apart. Arms can be palm face down in front of you, interlaced or stacked under your forehead, or resting by your sides, palm face up. Also, the option to turn this into puppy pose. Glide forward on your mat, lifting your sit bones to the ceiling, arching the back, opening the chest, and reaching the arms out in front of you, palms face together. Move your hands into prayer above the crown. Maintain pelvic floor and low abdominal engagement by drawing the belly button up and in. Slowly coming back into child's pose, resting here, following the natural rhythm of your breath. As you slowly emerge from child's pose, take a moment to send gratitude through your whole body for carrying you through this section of the warm-up. And meet me at the top of your mat in mountain pose to begin Sun Salutation A. Standing towards the front of your mat, feet parallel to the outer edge of your mat, toes gripping, knees softly bent, pelvis neutral, pressing up from the floor out of the hips, long spine, abdominals and pelvis engaged, shoulders back and down. Inhale, arms up overhead, standing upward salute. Reach without letting the front ribs reach forward. Exhale, soften the knees, hinge from the hips, forward fold, fingertips to the mat, if possible, or to the shins. Relax the neck. Inhale, pressing hands into the shins, dropping the back, dropping the belly, pushing the tailbone up, back of the neck long, chin tucked. Exhale, stepping back to your plank pose, releasing to the knees before lowering yourself to the floor with control. Inhale, lengthen the spine, tuck the pelvis, tops of the feet to the floor. Pull the heart forward and up using the strength of your back body. Up on your fingertips, back of the neck long, chin tucked. Pressing yourself back to your downward facing dog. Tailbone to the sky, eyes looking to your belly button. Engage the lower abdominals, engage the pelvic floor. Practicing putting those heels down. Press yourself away from the earth. Allow this inversion to nourish your brain with blood and oxygen. Maintain deep, even breath, and on your inhale, look forward and step forward to your half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Relax your neck. Rock your weight forward onto your toes. Inhale, coming up to your standing upward salute, arms reaching up to the ceiling, eyes looking up to the ceiling. Abdominals engaged. Exhale, releasing hands through prayer to mountain pose, palms face forward. Press up off of the earth. Squeeze thighs gently in together. Shoulders back and down, ears over top of shoulders. Consider what it means to embody the energy of a mountain. Let's repeat that sun salutation with a little more tempo. Inhale, arms up overhead, standing upward salute. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plank. On the toes or the knees, release to chaturanga. Inhale to your cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, press back to downward facing dog. Shoulders down away from the ears. Eyes looking towards the belly button. Navel in towards the spine. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, step forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Soft bend in the knees. Inhale, hinging from the hips. Arms up overhead, standing upward salute. Exhale, hands through prayer to mountain pose. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, hinging from the hips, release to forward fold, rocking forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, stepping back, releasing to the ground. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Breathe. Let the blood flow to your head. Let yourself gain a different perspective on the world. Let your world be put upside down. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, half lift. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, hinging from the hips. Arms up overhead, standing upward salute. Exhale, hands through prayer to mountain pose. Moving on to my version of Sun Salutation B. On your inhale, sitting back into chair pose, allowing the knees to bend forward over the toes, keeping the eyes forward. Squeeze back body. Exhale, forward fold. Relax the neck, rock forward on the toes. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plank, knees or on the toes to your chaturanga. Inhale to your up dog or cobra. Exhale, press back to your downward facing dog, pushing the earth away, engaging the lower abdominals, eyes looking up towards the belly button. Breathing into the calves. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, step your left foot to the middle of your mat, back heel to arch alignment. Bend into 90 degrees in the front knee, arms parallel with the ground at shoulder height, palms face down, looking over your front hand, warrior 2. Exhale, back to downward facing dog through your lunge. Breathe. Rest. Notice any sensations coming up. Inhale, step your right foot forward, heel to arch alignment, bending 90 degrees in the front knee, squeezing shoulders down away from the ears, front ribs hug in, pelvic floor engaged, feet gripping the mat. Exhale, release through your lunge to your downward facing dog, breathing, squeezing the hands together, drawing the hands towards the toes. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, step into your half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Let gravity lengthen your spine. Inhale, hinging from the hips, standing upward salute. Exhale, mountain. Moving on to my rider flow. Beginning, as usual, in mountain pose. Inhale, standing upward salute. Exhale, hinging from the hips to your forward fold. Inhale, half lift, squeeze shoulder blades and glutes. Exhale, plank on the knees or toes. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, lengthen, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Breathing deeply here. Engaging the pelvic floor, squeezing shoulder blades. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, step your left foot forward to the middle of your mat. Heel to arch alignment, moving into warrior 2, bending over your front knee, squeezing both glutes, making sure you're reaching up through the top of your head. Exhale, reverse warrior, flip the front hand and bring it back, looking up at the top hand. Exhale, side angle pose, reaching the right fingertips forward, squeezing the glutes, bending into the front knee, shoulders down away from the ears. Exhale, triangle, straightening the front leg, left hand on left shin, reaching up through the right fingertips, eyes looking up. Shoulders down away from the ears and imagining a wall behind you and pressing yourself flat against that wall. Release both hands to the mat. We're going to now widen the feet apart to hip width, as well as stepping them closer together, forming a stable base for your pyramid pose. Press right hip forward as you inhale, reaching both arms overhead, creating length through the spine. On the exhale, coming forward into your forward fold over your left leg. Breathe. As you inhale, coming up to your half lift. Exhale, forward fold, creating length in the hamstrings and the spine. Stepping forward to your half lift at the top of your mat. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, creating length through your discs. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, coming up to standing upward salute. Exhale, mountain. Feel the body. Notice the difference after doing one side. Feel your hips. Inhale, standing upward salute, arms reach overhead. Exhale, hinging from the hips to your forward fold, release the neck. Inhale, half lift, shoulder blades squeeze. Exhale, plank on the knees or toes. Exhale, chaturanga, engage the core. Inhale, toes to the ground, pelvis tucked under, lifting to your cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Engage the low abdominals and pelvic floor. Find length through the spine, through the joints. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, stepping your right foot to the middle of the mat. Heel to arch alignment, coming into warrior 2. Back toes point to the left top corner of your mat. Eyes looking forward over the right fingertips. Hugging the front ribs in, engaging both glutes. Holding this pose. Exhale, release, reverse warrior, back hand reaching down your leg, front palm flipped up. Exhale, side angle pose. Keep squeezing the glutes, bending into the front knee and pulling the shoulder blades down the back. Find length. Press into the outer edges of the feet. Gently moving to triangle pose, straightening the front knee. Right arm on right ankle or shin. Opening up to be flat against the back wall. Eyes looking up the top hand. Exhale, release to the ground, to the lunge before stepping forward into pyramid pose. Feet hip width apart. Left hip presses forward, right hip back. Reaching up, getting long. Exhale, forward fold. Keep the hips square to the top of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, release. Deep hamstring stretch. Inhale is your half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Trying to get as much length through the spine as possible. Asking those hips to release, those hamstrings to release. Before stepping that back foot forward to meet your front foot in your half lift and forward fold at the top of your mat. Getting all the tension out of the spine. Strengthening the glutes and the back body. Improving our posture. Inhale, standing upward salute. Exhale, mountain. Before moving on to our cool down, we're going to do one more hip opener. So in mountain pose, just take a moment to feel the hips. Notice any sensations or not. Inhale, arms up overhead, standing upward salute. Exhale, forward fold. And your half lift, the last ones I promise. Chaturanga to the floor. Cobra pose on the inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog. Appreciate the final moments in this pose. Allowing the knees to be bent, tucking the chin, making sure your hands are level I swear my left hand is forward this whole video in all of my downward dogs. I'm going to have to check that next time. Inhale, lifting your right leg straight up to the ceiling, flexing the foot before exhaling and bringing your right knee towards right wrist. Allow your knee to bend as much as you need to feel comfortable. Your left leg is kicked out behind you. And really important here, before you relax into this pose, that you active first by pushing your left hip forward, your right hip back, which is going to have the effect of lifting you off the mat slightly on your inhale, and on your exhale, soften into the passive pose. I like to go back and forth in between active and passive, especially in this posture because it can be so intense. Also, the option here to bring this into reclined pigeon where you rest your forearms and even head on the ground, depending on how flexible we're feeling today. Breathe here and maintain a long spine before carefully moving back into your downward facing dog. Taking a couple breaths here to reset and really feeling how that stretch affected your outer hip on the right side. Engage the lower abdominals, engage the pelvic floor, tucking the chin, looking up towards your navel, dropping the heels to the ground. On your inhale, shifting your weight and lifting your left leg up towards the ceiling, flexing the foot, and then bringing it forward, bending the knee, kicking the right leg out behind, and coming into the active version of pigeon pose first, squeezing left hip back, right hip forward, and exhale, soften into the passive version of the pose. Moving back and forth from active to passive, following your breath, and the option to move this into reclined pigeon on the forearms. Make sure to stay with the breath here and any emotions that might come up from releasing the hips. This is stretching the piriformis muscle on the outer hip. Carefully, with intention, moving back into your final downward facing dog. How many did we do in this video? It feels like a lot. Keep breathing. Allow the blood to rush to your head, and on your inhale, look forward, exhale, step forward, coming into your half lift on your inhale. Exhale, forward fold. A nice shoulder stretch here if you want, interlacing your fingers at your tailbone and letting the arms move towards the ground. This stretch feels very intense, so be careful if you have damaged or injured shoulders. And then I'm just gently swaying back and forth between right and left foot before fully letting the arms go and reaching my arms forward, rocking forward on my toes and back, just getting all the length I can out of the spine before hinging from the hips, using the strength of the glutes to stand up and reach up to the sky, standing upward salute. Exhale, hands to prayer at the heart, feeling gratitude for this wonderful vessel for carrying me through this practice. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Find your way to your mat, lying down. We're going to begin our cool down. This first exercise is a trauma release therapy designed to release stuck emotion from the hips. So we're going to begin by bringing the toes together and then bringing them apart. And then you're going to do that at increased speed until you settle into a nice rhythm. Use the internal and external rotation of the hip in the socket to undo and untie any emotional traumas, triggers, and memories that live in the hips. Connect to your feelings. Pause and enjoy the feeling of energy releasing from the hips, vibrating away from you. Enjoy the sensation of energy flowing through your whole body. Notice the subtle feelings that come up due to the increased sensitivity from the rhythmic pulsing. The next trauma release exercise, we're going to point the toes and then flex the foot, alternating back and forth until you get a rhythm. Allowing your head to nod and the vibrations to move through your whole body. Stay present with the sensations that come up and follow the natural rhythm of your breathing. Pause the rocking and notice any sensations that come up in the body. Allow the energy to dissipate. Feel the subtle vibrations moving through your body. Moving on to our final cool down postures. Extend the legs up to the ceiling, coming into waterfall pose. Engage the lower abdominals and press the shoulder blades down away from the ears and into the mat. We're going to point and flex the toes, creating space in the calf, noticing if one foot is more or less flexible than the other, allowing gravity to reduce inflammation in our lower extremities. This posture is great for an overworked nervous system. Next, moving into happy baby pose, grab the knees, shins, or ankles depending on flexibility, allowing the knees to come towards the mat and opening the knees wide. Options are endless here. Just play as if you were a happy baby, rocking back and forth, extending one leg, bending the other. Explore this posture with an open and curious mind, releasing rigidity and fear. Next, we're moving into a figure 4 stretch to help open those hips. So right ankle on left knee, both feet flexed. Draw the left knee in towards the body, making sure the hips remain square as you move deeper into this stretch. Release and switch sides, bringing left ankle to right knee, both feet flexed, hips square to the top and bottom of the mat, and drawing that leg in towards the chest, keeping the back of the neck long and pulling the shoulders down away from the ears. Stay with the breath and maintain lower abdominal and pelvic floor engagement. Releasing the feet to the mat, doing a couple pelvic tilts to release any tension in the low back or sacrum. before finally releasing into our final resting pose, lying flat out on your back. Taking these moments to be selfish and to focus entirely on your internal world, focusing on the feeling of self-love and dedication that carried you through this practice, and allowing that love to fill you up with light and let it spill out through your aura to the rooms surrounding you. And if you have any loved ones that are also in need of this light, you can extend it to them as well. Stay with your breath and these peaceful ideas. Slowly dropping back into the body, wiggling the toes and fingers, and gently opening the eyes. When you're ready, turning over onto your side, before gently sitting up, coming into simple cross-legged sitting position or half lotus. Bringing the hands to prayer and allowing gratitude and awareness to flood your body. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.